This is the story that could rewrite the Windsor family saga. Not a scandal splashed across the tabloids. Not a cleverly spun palace statement. No, this was bigger, bolder, and far more brutal. A silence. A silence so sharp it cut through the velvet walls of Buckingham Palace and echoed all the way across the Atlantic. And at the center of it, Catherine, Princess of Wales, our future queen. The woman was once called the peacemaker, the bridge builder, the quiet strength behind the crown. But this time, Catherine didn't extend a hand. She didn't send a message. She didn't even whisper. Instead, she delivered the most devastating verdict of all, without saying a single word. So what triggered this icy silence? Why now? And what does it mean for Harry, for the monarchy, and for the fragile ties that still, barely, bind them together? Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you has betrayal, heartbreak, family loyalty, and a silence that speaks louder than 1,000 shouts. Let's set the stage. Prince Harry turned 41 this year. Now, in royal terms, birthdays are not casual affairs. They're part of the choreography, the subtle dance of unity, image, and public perception. Even the most fractured relationships are usually wrapped up in a polite ribbon, a photo, a carefully chosen caption, a line on the royal social media feed. Happy birthday, Harry. Short, sweet, neutral. And last year, when Harry turned 40, that milestone came with baggage. The Oprah revelations had already detonated. The Netflix cameras had rolled. The memoir had fired its shots. And yet, despite the grenades lobbed across the ocean, William and Catherine still took the high road. A birthday nod, an olive branch extended, a signal that, however bruised, the bond of brotherhood was not yet beyond repair. But this year? Silence. Utter, calculated silence. Not a post, not a tweet, not even the faintest whisper from Kensington Palace. And make no mistake, this was no slip-up. Royal social media isn't managed by an intern tapping away on autopilot. Every image, every line, is written, reviewed, and vetted by multiple sets of eyes. Nothing goes out by accident, and nothing is left out without purpose. So what does it mean when the whales choose silence? It means the olive branch has been withdrawn. It means the door has been closed. It means the bridge isn't simply burned, it's been bulldozed, paved over, and buried under layers of ash. In the theater of royalty, words can be denied, but silence is undeniable. And this silence may have been Catherine and William's clearest statement yet. Harry is no longer family, at least not in the public sense. Here's where the knife twists. This silence didn't come from King Charles. It didn't come from stiff-faced courtiers drafting strategy memos. No, this came from Catherine herself. And that matters because for years, Catherine was the peacemaker, the quiet diplomat. The steady hand is trying to stitch back together the unraveling fabric of the House of Windsor. She wasn't just William's wife. She wasn't just the future queen. She was the one person who still looked at Harry and saw more than scandal, more than betrayal. She saw the brother-in-law who once made her laugh. She saw the cheeky uncle who once doted on her children. She saw family. Think back to Prince Philip's funeral, that heavy, gray afternoon when grief hung in the air like fog. The world watched those two brothers, once inseparable, walking apart, their bond fractured beyond recognition. And then there was Catherine. Quietly, almost imperceptibly, she maneuvered herself between them. A glance here, a step there, until suddenly William and Harry were side by side. For a few precious moments, she pulled them into conversation. It wasn't much, but it was something. That was Catherine's way. Gentle nudges, soft diplomacy, always trying to mend what was broken. But how much can one woman endure? Catherine faced humiliation, lies, smears hurled across oceans. Meghan Markle sat in Oprah's Rose Garden and, with the cameras rolling, told the world that it was Catherine who made her cry, not the other way around. That wasn't just gossip. That was character assassination on an international stage. And Catherine? She didn't clap back. She didn't defend herself. Not one word. She let silence be her shield, keeping the door cracked open, even as many of us wondered how she could forgive such a wound. But now, this silence feels different. This isn't the silence of diplomacy. This isn't patience or grace or hope. This is the silence of a woman who has finally run dry. Catherine's reserves of forgiveness, the patience that seemed endless, have been drained. And when she closes a door, my darlings, it doesn't reopen. Let's talk about how we got here. Because Catherine's silence didn't come from nowhere. It wasn't one explosion, one betrayal, one moment of no return. No, it was slower, more insidious. This was death by 1,000 cuts. And the first cut? Oprah. That sun-drenched California garden, cameras rolling, the world watching. Meghan sits across from Oprah, framed like a heroine in a glossy Netflix drama, and calmly drops a bomb. She claims Catherine, the very woman who had welcomed her, who had tried to help her adjust to the brutal spotlight of royalty, made her cry. And there sat Harry, silent, nodding along, giving his royal seal of approval as his sister-in-law's name was dragged through the dirt before tens of millions. Imagine it, the woman who spent years shielding him, suddenly cast as the villain in Meghan's carefully curated script. That wasn't just hurtful, it was devastating. But it didn't stop there. The wounds kept coming. Enter Spare, Harry's tell-all memoir, the book that rattled the very foundations of Buckingham Palace. Page after page dripping with resentment, painting Catherine as cold, as frosty, as unwelcoming. And the details, oh the details. He mocked her over something as trivial as a borrowed tube of lip gloss, twisting a fleeting moment of awkwardness into a caricature. Private texts, private conversations, the sacred intimacy of family life, sold, published, dissected, all for a multi-million-dollar payday. Picture that for a moment. You're Catherine. You've smiled beside Harry on palace balconies, you've shared jokes, family dinners, even moments of real tenderness and trust. And then one day, you open a book, his book, and there you are. Reduced, flattened, turned into a cold, unfeeling character, written not by an enemy, not by a tabloid, but by the man you once considered family. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was public, permanent, and profitable. And for Catherine, a woman who lives by composure, by grace, by the quiet dignity that defines monarchy itself, this wasn't just cruel. It was unforgivable. And here's the other piece, the one too many people forget when they scroll past royal headlines. Catherine isn't just the Princess of Wales. She isn't just the future queen consort. She is, at the heart of it all, a wife, a mother, and a woman walking through a storm of her own. She's told us herself, her days are now measured in treatments and recoveries, in carving out moments of calm for George, Charlotte, and little Louis. She's shielding her children from anxiety, from whispers at school, from the unbearable weight of a world dissecting their mother's every move. She's trying to create a bubble of peace inside palace walls. And let's be honest, Harry and Meghan are the exact opposite of peace. They are chaos personified. They are drama wrapped in designer suits and Netflix contracts. They are the never-ending drip of interviews, memoirs, leaks, and late-night gossip shows. They are the storm Catherine simply cannot afford to let through her gates. So understand this, Catherine's silence isn't vengeance. It isn't pettiness. It isn't some tit-for-tat social media snub. It's something far more primal. It's survival. It's a woman, a mother, a future queen drawing a sacred circle around her family and saying no more. It's the image of a mother bear at the mouth of her den, teeth bared, cubs behind her, daring anyone to bring more chaos into her space. And her silence is louder than a roar. It says, not here, not now, not ever again. She's choosing health over toxicity, family over feuds, future over the past. Now don't think for one second that Harry and Meghan aren't painfully aware of this silence. Oh, they know. Every glance, every avoided call, every careful non-response has been noticed. And the whispers drifting out of Montecito suggest that Harry still wants reconciliation. His camp talks about olive branches, about private conversations behind closed doors, about maybe, even just maybe, finding a way to rebuild what was broken. There's hope, or at least the illusion of hope, that some bridge could be mended, that family ties could be restored. But the Waleses? Completely unmoved. Unshakable. When Harry was last in the UK, William and Catherine didn't lift a finger to see him. Not a meeting scheduled, not a casual encounter arranged, not even the semblance of a gesture. They were busy. Conveniently busy. Deliberately busy. Gloriously busy. Every move, every avoidance, every polite excuse screamed the same unflinching message. Reconciliation is not on the table. It's a silence heavy with intent. It's a statement wrapped in ordinary actions that says more than words ever could. It's not bitterness. It's not pettiness. It's the calculated, quiet assertion of boundaries. And for Harry and Meghan, it's a reminder that no amount of longing, no wave of nostalgia, no carefully placed olive branch can undo what has been decided. In that silence lies power, Catherine's power, William's power, and the truth is undeniable. Some doors, once closed, remain firmly shut. Here's the cold, hard truth, the truth nobody in the palace will ever say out loud, but one that hangs in the air like smoke after a fire. Even if Meghan Markle walked away tomorrow. Even if the fairy tale marriage collapsed and Harry came crawling back to Britain, tail between his legs, begging for forgiveness, at best, William may tolerate him. He may offer the polite nod, the formal handshake, the kind of cool civility that duty demands. But trust? Never again. Not after the attacks on his wife. Not after the insults hurled at his family. Not after dragging their late grandmother, Queen Elizabeth herself, into the chaos. That bond of brotherhood, once the strongest thread in the Windsor tapestry, is gone. Not frayed, not damaged, shattered, ground into dust. And for Catherine, the pain cuts even deeper. She hasn't just lost a brother-in-law. She has lost the Harry she once believed in, the cheeky, warm-hearted uncle who made her children laugh until their sides ached, the companion she saw not just as William's brother, but as her own. That man, the one she welcomed with open arms, is gone. Replaced by a stranger across the ocean, a stranger with bitterness in his voice and betrayal in his pen. So Catherine has done the hardest thing of all. She has finally, irrevocably, chosen to stop waiting for the old Harry to return. She has chosen to close that chapter and move forward without him. And in the quiet finality of that choice lies a kind of strength no headline can capture, the strength of a woman who knows that sometimes the only way to protect your family is to let go of someone who refuses to protect you. So what does Catherine's silence really mean? It means strength. It means boundaries. It means a woman who has carried the burden of peace for years finally laying it down and saying, enough. This is the kind of silence that speaks louder than words, the kind that carries weight and makes even the most powerful pause. This isn't a weakness. This isn't bitterness. It's clarity, hard-won clarity that comes from understanding exactly who she is, what she will tolerate, and what she refuses to be dragged into. For years, Catherine tried to make peace with people committed to war, mediating tensions, smoothing over fractures, and shouldering the emotional labor that no one else seemed willing to bear. But even the gentlest diplomat, even the most patient soul, reaches a point where compromise becomes self-erasure, and self-erasure is never strength. And at some point, even the most gracious must admit defeat. But in that defeat lies freedom. In choosing silence, Catherine isn't surrendering, she's reclaiming herself. She's saying to the world, to the court, to the chaos itself, I will no longer bend, I will no longer negotiate your battles, I will no longer diminish my peace for the sake of someone else's war. Her silence was a roar, a declaration that she will no longer play the game, no longer be dragged into the chaos, no longer sacrifice her dignity for the sake of optics. Every unspoken word, every measured pause, every withheld response is a statement louder than any public declaration could ever be. It is the kind of power that doesn't need an audience. It is the kind of authority that doesn't need applause. And for Catherine, it is finally hers. So here we are, my lovelies. Harry turned 41. The birthday came and went. And Catherine, our future queen, said nothing. But in that, nothing was everything. A final act of strength. A door closed. A bond severed. Harry lost not just his brother. He lost his sister too. And Catherine? She chose her husband, her children, her health, and her crown. She chose peace. Now the question is, what do you think? Was Catherine right to stay silent? Is this the ultimate sign of strength in a future queen? And do you believe, even now, that there's any way back for Harry? Get into the comments, my loves, because I want to hear it all. Until next time, look after yourselves, and as always, mind how you go.